Okay, the time is 10 minutes to race start, and this is a sound test. I will go on YouTube and see if the audio is working correctly. So testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the time is 10 minutes to race start, and this is a sound test. I will go on YouTube and see if the audio is working correctly. So testing 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a definite issue with the audio. The time is 10 minutes to race start, and this is a sound test. I will go on YouTube and see if the audio... Anybody hear me? If anybody can hear me in the chat, can you reply to that? Anyone hear me in the chat? Anybody hear me? If anybody can hear me in the chat, can you reply to that? Okay, I can't get the bloody sound to work. I don't know what the problem is. Anyone hear me in the chat? Yeah, can you hear me, Damon? Am I actually coming through? Because I'm getting no audio from my YouTube feed. I don't know if it's working or not. Okay, I can't get the bloody sound to work. I don't know what the problem is. Anyone hear me in the... Yeah, can you hear me, Damon? Am I actually coming through? Because I'm getting no audio from my YouTube feed. I don't know if it's working or not. Okay, 4 minutes to go and I can't seem to sort the audio. I don't know what the issue is. It was working this morning, it was working this afternoon, and then all of a sudden I come on and it stopped working. Okay, I'm going to have to shut my... Okay folks, it looks like we're back in. I'm having serious technical issues with my sound. I can't get any feedback that tells me that sound's working. But Damon says it is. So hopefully you're watching the broadcast and I'm back in. The race is starting in 1 minute 22. So I'm going to need to check to make sure that my my avatar is moving off the... let's have a look. Close that down and let's go into the menu, make sure my equipment is turned on. No, not my equipment, sorry, my sensors. Yep, that looks like it's working. So perhaps all I need to do to make sure that we're working here, folks, is there we go. Yeah, it looks like we're back on and running. I'd better close down YouTube, otherwise I'm going to get a feedback loop. I really have no idea whether this is working or not, whether you can hear me, and I won't know until I'm not getting any feedback at all at my end, so I don't even know if this is working. But I will get on the pedals, I will start the broadcast, and if nothing else I'll do the broadcast without sound. I just can't tell if it's working or not because my feedback and playback is just not giving me no sound whatsoever. So as I say, I'll get on the bike. Hopefully that will do a spinning, starting the race. Race started. Yeah, it looks like it is starting from it. So yeah, are we starting? Is it working, or is it going to do its usual thing? And oh, it's working. Okay, we're underway, so let's go to the front of the race. Here we go, and pick it up, and we can see Paul Pudell from OTR and a few other riders. It's great on Facebook. That's good to know, John, because I have no sound at my end, so I've no way of knowing that the sound was going through. But as long as it's working on Facebook, I can handle that. I don't necessarily need feedback. So we'll crack on with the race. I'm glad you're watching. This should be a good race tonight. I don't know who's... I mean, I can see Gavash and a few other riders, but I don't know whether all the main contenders are here tonight. I can just see Casper's name, so Casper's here. And like it did this afternoon, this is going to take a few kilometres to sort themselves out, folks, because it starts with this steep downhill and then does a bit of rolling before we hit the first climb. So don't expect it to break up here, but it will almost certainly break up once we get to the first climb. And that's what happened at lunchtime. We saw the big group splitting up. as we see Casper on the front again. Already pushing above threshold. And he's got that teammate of him, Feldbau, with him as well. So they're going to try the same tactics as last time. Let's... we've got John Samut this time going with them, and a couple of other riders. As I say, it's not until we get to that first climb where I really expect the group to be whittled down. But having said that, we've now got what we got here. We've got 5 riders trying to make a break. A couple more riders just behind them. So 5 riders out here, 6 riders now. 7. No, the group's, as I say, because it's such a steep downhill. That's why we're seeing the group pulling them back. Zoom in a bit and and let's see if we can see some action. So, just going to the front of the race, we've got Robin Sanderson. Nice to see that he's back racing. He was having technical issues with his setup. Tim Moss from SDW there. He's another regular. Now this was a very fast run at lunchtime, and I expect much the same this evening. But this is a nice large group going into the climb. A little bit spread out, but a nice large group. And what I'm hoping for tonight's edition is that we can see riders more or less trying to stay at the front together, rather than having just the 1 or 2 riders dictating things. I mean, Lundqvist just absolutely smashed it at lunchtime. He's currently in the hot seat. Haven't got his time to pull up, but I would probably do that later once this race settles down a little bit and we get into commentary. It's been a bit of a, this stage today is a bit of a funny one, because it's very much going to favour the power riders, but having said that, the climbers also are going to enjoy it because of these short, steep climbs. So while we've got the usual 2 suspects at the front, Hedidam and Belbal, it will be interesting to see how they approach this, whether they continue to try and open up the gap, or whether they allow a few riders to go with them to do some of the work. Because there is a lot of up and down. It's not just the climbs. There's an awful lot of downhill and rolling terrain. So it might be beneficial, as we see Gavash has now joined this 5-man group. It might be beneficial to let a few riders join so that they can share the work. But then again, if you've got good legs and you're feeling strong enough, yeah, go for it and push off the front. And now we had the paint cam and the Zoom room running at the lunchtime slot, because obviously that was the ZMS live stream. I don't have that facility at the moment, but I'm gonna try, with Damon's help, to see if I can't set up a Zoom room for my streams as well, and then we can have riders on screen, similar to how Damon does. Don't know how I'm going to fit them all on screen, but I'm sure I can work something out. You know, have a split screen view, etc., like Damon does. Won't be as professional, but it might do the job, and it would be nice to see the riders that we're not capturing on ZMS, possibly taking part in my Zoom room. For those that didn't watch the lunchtime running, and even this morning's 0700 hours running of 0700 hours CET, that is, the second running, we had a rider, was he, I think he was a Chinese rider, Chinese or Japanese, and he absolutely smashed out a ridiculous time, and I called it out immediately. It was very suspect. And then the idiot decided to ride in the lunchtime slot as well, and again won the race very, very easily, because he's basically not configured correctly, and he's been disqualified. But it just led to a discussion at lunchtime that, riders need to find some way of verifying themselves. Either go in our Zoom room, because you can't hide there and everybody can see your performances, or go along to Ride Fair and do the weigh-in and show people your weigh-in video. But also there's the eBio Passport website. And, there are riders putting in some really good performances, but some of these riders are not, have not verified themselves. And my feeling is that every rider in this tour who is vying for a top spot needs to verify themselves. We need to make sure that the performances they're putting in are valid. So if you haven't done already, consider joining Damon's ZMS Zoom room. It's very easy to do. All you need is a webcam. He will send you the link, or you can pick the link up in the Facebook forums, of which we're going to be advertising before the next stage on Tuesday. But you can find them in the Facebook pages, and basically get yourself into the Zoom room, because there's no hiding there. You could clearly see the pain that John, Clive, Henrik and Lundqvist were going through at lunchtime. And I just wish more riders would do it. Although, to be fair, I think we had 7 riders today. So it is growing with me pushing it. And I'm going to continue to push it. I'm not going to stay quiet on this topic, because there are still riders out there that haven't verified themselves. And you know who you are. Anyway, back to the race. We can see that 3 riders have now got a 90-meter gap. Hedidam, Samut and Feldball. Now, John was able to sort of like stick somewhat with Hedidam and Feldball the other day. So he's probably looking to do much the same in this edition. And they may well get joined by some of the riders behind, because we saw in the earlier running that because of this terrain, because there's so much downhill, for example, they're just cresting this climb now, and now we've got a fair distance before the next climb. So there's time here for the riders behind, if they work well together, to try and close up this gap. And I hope they do so, because I don't want to see these 3 riders pulling out a huge lead and ending the race effectively so early. I want to see a challenge for the leader. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see whether these 3 riders manage to stay away. Gavash is currently in 4th place, but sadly he's riding on his own at the moment. So he'll be working extremely hard to try and pull these riders back. But working on his own, it's a tough ask. In fact, I tell you what, we know these 3 are together. So let's drop back. There's Gav, and this guy is a powerhouse. I really like Gav, because he always gives it 110%. But to be fair to the lad, he needs some help here. So riders behind, get him caught up and get working with him. And here's the group behind. Now they're a good way behind Gav, so they really need to start pushing off the front and working well together. They need to take turns as Johnson. I've had a good chat with Johnson a bit earlier on, so but hopefully, and Nick Giles, it's nice to see Nick here. I mean, I do have a good rapport with many of the riders. I consider them friends outside of the racing, so yeah, I have a fairly decent rapport, and we do a bit of chatting. So these lads looking around at each other, they need to work together, and they need to push hard. Otherwise, they're not going to pull any of this this time back. Greg Barnett in there. Paul Pudell has been dropped off slightly. They're 300 metres off the pace, along with Mike Aid. It'd be nice if these two could get back on, but they got the work cut out now. How far behind the group behind? This lot could come back together. There's another OTR rider there. So this could come back together. We'll see what happens. It's Sanderson. Now he's a very good rider, so you never know. They could pull back that bit of a gap, 90 metres to the two riders in front, and then work together. But we know from the earlier running, and I know from this course, it's not a course that lends itself to the bunch staying together. The climbs are too short and too steep, and the downhills too fast, and you know this is a very hard course for most riders, purely and simply because you never really get into a good rhythm on courses like this, where you've got short steep uphills and then short steep downhills. Your legs are all over the place and it hurts. You never really get into a rhythm, or at least the majority of riders won't. And so it will be interesting to see how this plays out, whether these riders do stay away. Gav's got it down now to under 300 metres, so maybe he can join these three riders. But no, you see it changing. 1 minute Gav looks like he's catching, the next minute these guys are on the blue downhill, and then Gav's losing ground. But he will pick it up when he reaches the downhill himself. But by that time, they could well be 500, well, they are 500 metres in front. So it's incredibly difficult, folks, to pull back. See, Gav's still on the uphill section, and 600 metres behind. And by the time he hits the top of the climb, the guys will be probably down in the valley. It's really difficult to try and commentate on this type of a course because of the ups and downs. And I don't really like to say, well, they're going to get caught, they're not going to get caught, because it's open. It's very, very open when the terrain's like this. And anything can happen in the second half of the race, where it does get a little bit easier in terms of it's still up and down, but it's not as long and not as steep. We're actually approaching probably the steepest climb on the whole course very shortly after this downhill. So the leaders will be arriving there pretty soon. But let's work his way back and see some of the riders a bit further back in the race as we watch Daniel Naugebauer there. And Daniel's one of the riders that goes in the pain room when he's on the other feed. So and here's Sanderson group with Sonderby. Paul Pudell was in there. And this is the Sondergaard groups just behind them, 280 metres behind. But you can see how splintered it is. And as I say, that's because this course is a nightmare for the majority of riders. It doesn't lend itself to staying together as groups because not everybody can handle the short, sharp climbs and the fast downhills because of the weight difference of the riders. You know, some riders will not need to pedal, like we're seeing Miller here, whereas other riders, like Dell behind him, needs to pedal to even try and close up on him, as Miller puts in an above threshold effort to try and stay away from Dell. So it's very, very difficult. And I appreciate all the riders, you know, pushing themselves in this type of a race, because we saw this afternoon, and we could see in the Zoom room, I mean, we watched John absolutely gasping for breath, John Beams. You could see the effort he was having to put in to just try and stay, with the leaders, with Lundqvist, and try and close in the gap. But so difficult to do on this type of terrain. I mean, it was a great race. I really enjoyed covering it. Well, I always do with Damon's feeds. But we got riders, as we are seeing tonight, all over the road. I mean, there didn't seem to be any sense in it, but the riders were, we watched James Brown here, the OTR rider with Gabe and Costa. Well, let's find out who's behind them. That might be Samir. Yes, it is. That's Samir in the OTR jersey at the back here. There we go. Now, Samir's responsible for these roads, so you've got him to thank. And I think he's done a pretty fantastic job with this Great Wall of China to digitize it the way he has. I've actually walked this wall in real life. I mean, you can't cycle on it unless you had one of those trick bikes, one of those where people do tricks climbing stairs and this lot. It's just not rideable. But to digitize it the way Samir's done, he's done a really cracking job here. And it's a beautiful place to go, the Great Wall. It's one of the 8 wonders of the world. And I visited it while I was doing my round the world trip on a cycle. I spent 2 months in China. Anyway, enough about me. Here we go. There's Damon Strasser. He's a regular commentator on my feeds, etc. Andy and Smith. Now, we had a good turnout tonight, 69 riders. We had over 100 riders at lunchtime. So this is another very, very good turnout. We'll get back to the front shortly, folks. I don't think there'll be very much happening there other than the 3 or 4 riders staying on the front, but we'll get back there shortly. Just want to check on all the riders, see where we are. As we watch 2 more of the OTR riders, Gilbert and Elliott. Now, I'm almost sure that Funderburg rode the lunchtime slot, so no idea why he's riding this slot as well. Maybe somebody will let me know why are you riding this slot as well. But nice to see him. And I'm pretty sure he rode the lunchtime session. And there's nothing to stop you riding 2 sessions and trying to improve your time or just riding again if you enjoy the course. And here's Furman, another OTR rider. And there I am, right at the back. But I'm not taking part in the race. I just have to be on the course in order to stay with the action. And here we've got Casper pushing off the front again. And he's got his teammate with him. You can see them both working together. And they have dropped John Samot again. Now, he might get back on, as I say, because it's up and down. We'll see what happens here. Gavash has definitely closed the gap up to John, but he's still a good distance away from the leaders. And I think already we're probably seeing these 2 breaking away and not getting caught before the end of the race. So and like I say, I've got mixed feelings about this when riders break away so early, because it basically means the race is over. And everybody else is fighting for the minor places. And that takes a little bit of the excitement out of it. But having said that, we saw at lunchtime, we saw some really good battles further down the order after Lundqvist had come in with the win. So perhaps we could see the same today. I mean, we don't know who's going to take the win between these two, but I suspect it will be Casper. I don't know if there's points on offer for today for first, second, and third. So it'll be interesting to see who does get third place. Can Gav close up to Samut and then work together, and even Nick Giles behind? It will be interesting to see. Yeah, I've just got a message from Peter Austin who says, give Robin Sanderson a shout out. I already have, Peter. Robin is another one of my, I won't say favourite riders, but another one of my favoured riders. And yes, I usually do give him a shout up. I was very sad when Robin had technical issues in the earlier stages because he was in with a shout, for a high position in the overall, and now sadly he's dropped well back purely and simply because of technical issues. So I'm just pulling up Messenger now actually, and let's rather than reading them on my phone, let's have a look. Hope you're enjoying the feed, Peter. Yeah, he's got no teammates around him. He was third on GC, I know. So yeah, it was sad to see Robin getting lost with the technical issues. And hopefully we'll see a good ride tonight from him. Although, like most of the rest of the team riders, sadly we've really. Why is my down not working? Let's go back. There we go. Yeah, as we watch Gavash in fourth. And is Robin in amongst this group? Or is he in the group behind? Let's have a look. Let's see. We've got Nick in this group. Got Johnson, Nick Giles, Brask is here. Who else we got? Fussell. Yeah. All right. So it must be a little bit further back on the road. Here's Daniel and Timo, along with I think it's John Reed from Peddlers. And we got Parks just behind them from Ratio. Yeah, fingers crossed, Peter. I hope he does a good ride. He deserves better luck than the luck he's had, that's for sure. And he's there he is. There's Robin, 19th. He's a better rider than this suggests. I know that because I've covered in enough races now. And it must be pretty demoralizing when you are getting technical issues. I mean, I had a technical issue tonight with the feed, and it's still a technical issue because I still cannot hear my YouTube feed. You guys apparently can hear it, no problem at all, but I can't, and that's very disconcerting because I do like to listen to the audio to make sure everything's working fine and make sure I'm not shouting. But I'm reliably informed by John Beams, who's watching the feed, and a few others, Damon, that this is working properly. So now you can see these two are pushing along at the front. And they've already got 1.5 kilometers. So it's good night and thank you from these two. They're gone. In terms of first and second, the race is over. So the real question is, who's going to come in behind. Now, I'm really glad to see Gav has caught John. I don't know whether John helped him there by easing up slightly or whether Gav just put in a supreme effort to catch Samut. But I'm really glad to see these two together, and I do hope they can work together and maintain their third and fourth places. Now, which of them will come third and which will come fourth is for later on in the stage. I do hope they stay together though. I know who I'd fancy in the sprint at the end if it comes to that, but more about that later. Let's work his way further back then, because we've already seen 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and this is the chasing group. Now, I do feel that this little group are too far behind Gavash and Samut to catch, but never say never. And with this kind of rolling terrain, if they work well through and off, it is possible. 700 meters is not beyond the realms of possibility to pull back. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll drop further down the field and have a look at the riders further back. But we'll keep an eye on this group as well and see. And they are pulling it back, but they are on the nice downhill section at the moment. So they are closing the gap. But let's drop a little bit further back. Nick there sitting in at the back, doing some nice work. I'm sure he's doing his fair share at the front. Tim Ross has been dropped from that group, but there's no reason why he can't do a sprint here and get back on. It's still downhill. He just needs to, there he is, putting in I was just about to say he needs to put in a threshold effort and try and get back on, and he may well do so. In fact, let's stay with this and see whether Tim does, because this is a good effort. You can see him going well into the red. Good. This is a good sprinting effort he's putting in here. Completely in the red, above threshold to get back on. And if he does this, you have to give him a round of applause, because this is very hard to do, folks. We refer to it as burning matches, and you've only got so many matches to burn. Now he's trying here, but sadly he's running out of downslope. There you go, it starts to go up. So he really needs to push hard here to get on those wheels. And can he do it? And it looks like he has. Now that is a fantastic effort. He's joining his teammate Greg Barnett in front of him. In fact, he's got 2 teammates, look. So Tim, I take my hat off to you, lad. That was a fantastic effort, and I just hope you don't pay for it. I hope you can stay with them. Come on, get on the wheels, get in the middle of the pack, take a bit of recovery. Fantastic effort. I love to see that. And that's what I mean about sometimes the excitement, and I'm getting excited myself, but sometimes the excitement can be more lower down the order than what's going off at the front. And that was certainly the case there. I really enjoyed watching Tim. I just hope, like I say, quite often when you see a rider having to close up a gap like that, you see him off the back of the group and really struggling to hold on because they've worked so hard to get there. And I hope that doesn't happen with Tim here, that he can stay with this group. Although it does look like Fussell is also dropping off the back of this group, but maybe the 2 of them together. Hard call, but they're almost to the top of this climb. So yeah, this you have to feel for these riders. I've been in this situation myself, and it's horrible when you've made a catch and then you've just nothing left. It really is. We'll come back to Tim and see whether he manages to stay as we watch Timo, Daniel, and I think it's John Reed from Pedalers here. And they're 120 meters behind that small group we saw in front. So again, that's not beyond the realms of possibility that they can close that gap. But we've got riders all over the road, and that's because this course is a complete nightmare for the majority of riders with the ups and downs. You just don't know how to attack it. You burn too much energy on the uphill and you're really going to pay for it later on in the stage when you get to the less steep sections. So it's hard to judge. Do you coast down the downhills, or do you put in threshold efforts to try and close up a bit of the distance? You take recovery. These are all questions you have to ask yourself, and the only way you know that is through training, through what you've done in training. As watch John pulling out a bit of a gap, but Timo is gonna bring Neugebauer back to him. So yeah, and then we've got Parks and Murtaugh, 3R rider. There's Robin Sanderson. I hope Robin can join the two in front and work a bit with them. He's in 18th place. He was in 19th the last time we joined him, so he's already picked up one spot. And if he can catch these two in front, there's no reason why Robin can't climb a couple more places here. So this is the rider that he's dropped behind, Dell. And then we've got Sonderby. Undergard. The two teammates and the two Danes working well together. And these three would do well to sort of like try and work off each other here. Just for a little while, just, you know, until they get to the next climb. Yo Mama, we've seen this fellow a few times. And Reef is a relatively newcomer to my eyes, but not Paul Poodle. And I don't know, was Paul riding earlier? No, he wasn't. No, he was riding last night. I'm getting confused. Yeah, Paul rode last night and put in an excellent ride. So let's see what he does today. As we see Mike, his teammate, just behind. It does look like Paul is taking it relatively steady. Not really pushing the watt kilos high at this moment in time. So Jones. Two teammates together, both from the dirt team. Leon and Garcia. Another one of my OTR teammates, James Brown. Steve Miller from SDW. Gabe. What I try to do, folks, is I try to flick through it so that we see all the riders at least once or twice during the feed. And I generally try to get most of the riders coming into the finish as well. It does look like Perks has pulled over to the side of the road. Maybe has an issue. Could be anything. It could be cramp. It could be a technical. So we'll come back to him. We'll have a look later on, see if he's still in the race. And if he's not in the race later, we know that it's a technical issue and he's unable to get back into the race. Now this is Samir of Samir's Magic Roads fame. He's the lad that's done this route, as I've already mentioned. So you have him to thank for the suffering. But Samir does some fantastic work. I love his routes. We watch Cock trying to join them. There'll be a few battles for the lower down places a bit later on in the ride as we get towards the finish. Deadpool. What a name. There's Domenstrasse and Millichip. Now he's on the very fast section of downhill. Look, 17%. Well, that's why he's going so fast. 88 kilometers an hour. And threshold as well. So yeah, he's trying to pull back a bit of distance. He's got 500 meters to go to the riders in front, so he's got his work cut out. But to be fair to the lad, he was putting in a big effort there. So yeah, and there's Plant behind him. So this is probably the fastest section of the course. This, you can see from the profile, the steep blue downhill here, how steep it is. So yeah, that must be superb to. Yeah, I know I saw John Beams, taking a breather when we got the pain cam, and we were watching him. We saw him taking a breather and actually stop pedalling on some of the downhills and tried to get some air into his lungs, because the poor lad was absolutely exhausted. So, and that's, again, just to reiterate, that's one of the reasons why we like riders to be in the Zoom room, because there's no hiding. We can see the effort that you're having to put in, and there's no hiding place. Watch the 3R rider Balfour. Two more of my teammates here. Team 3R have done, not Team 3R, OTR on the Rivet have done a fantastic job with this tour, not just putting it on, thanks to James Ogilvy and his team, but also in getting riders to take part. I mean, a huge number of OTR riders are riding this tour. I think we've got 4, if not 5 or 6 teams taking part in it. So we're the biggest presence by a long way in this. And here's another OTR rider, look, just to underline what I'm saying. Now, this is one of the first ladies I've seen today. Not sure. We've got Funderburg there, another OTR rider, but Rubau is, I think, the first lady I've seen. I could be wrong. I haven't really been paying great attention. But you see what I mean about the Team 3R, the OTR riders. A lot of them taking part in this event. And we had a lot earlier. And Cooper looks like he's got a problem as well. So on the side of the road, not cycling. Could be there for any reason. It could be a technical dropout, or it could be just something as simple as cramp. We don't know. And there I am. So back to the front. And we can see that Casper now got a 700-meter gap. But Gavash has caught Feldballer, and it does look like they're riding together. So we watch Casper putting out 330 watts. Mid cadence. Cadence of. He generally runs in the 80s, doesn't he, from what I can see? Sometimes the 90s, but generally he's running in the 80s. So we've got the 3 riders together here. We've got Gav, Samut and Feldbal. And my guess is that Gav and Samut will do a number on Feldbal. So we're probably looking at Casper holding on to his first place. How far have we got now? About 7 kilometres for Hedidam. And then we've got these 3 riders that are basically going to be fighting for second and third. And it'll be interesting to see whether John Samut and Gavash, like I say, can do a number on Feldbal, or whether he can hold on and stay with them. And don't count out Barnett, Nick Giles, Brask and Oram yet. They could well have a say in this, and Paul Newton. So, yeah. And, well, there's a number of riders, isn't there, just behind them, 300 metres behind them. And if you look at the terrain that's to come, you'll see that we're finished with the steep climbs. This is the last of the steep, longer climbs. There's a couple of kicks, one in particular near to the finish, that last bit of red that you can see. And then you can see that there's a bit of orange within the last kilometre, well, just before the last kilometre. So there's a few challenges yet, but the really steep climbing is now finished for these riders. You can see they're on the 3% section now, and the climb that they do have to go up to, I think it goes up to 7%, that last one, can really be done in the big ring. So these riders, I think, will push on now. We could possibly see some of the riders behind start to close the gap, but at the moment it's going out. My prediction is coming true. Gav and Samut are dropping Feldball, and in fact it looks like he's got an issue here. He's spinning the pedals but nothing's happening. Over to the side of the road. This is a technical issue. Almost definitely. He's either had a dropout, because when you see a rider spinning the pedals like that, it usually means it's not that they're giving up. It's usually something to do with the fact that their trainer isn't sending the power signal. So I suspect that might be Feldbau's race, unless he can get back in. That could be the end of him. So let's just have a look at these two in front. They're not going to catch Hedidam. Hedidam's gone. But it'll be interesting to see whether these two, I was going to say work together, but just looking at this, possibly not. I do think Gav will get onto Samut's wheel though, and whether they work through or not, they're not. It doesn't look like they're going to get caught by the riders behind. So really, this is a battle between the two of them, and they could well end up working together. They could work together until they get a bit closer to the finish and then fight it out. Or they could decide to batter each other to bits in this last 5 kilometers, and one of them try to get the upper hand. I don't know. I don't know what the tactics are. They're not teammates, but I've no doubt that John has got the utmost respect for Gav, and Gav likewise for John. So we regularly see these two riding together in these tours because they're at a very similar level. So it'll be interesting. That for me is the excitement. Casper's got the win. So this for me is the excitement. Who's going to get second place? And then as we go further back, we've got this small group here. And this is going to be an exciting battle if they stay together. They're 6 kilometers from the finish. My guess is that these, how many we got here? 6 riders will more or less stay together now and come into the finish together. And if they do that, it's going to make for an exciting battle to see who gets the spot out of these 6 riders. So we'll come back to them as we watch. Fussell has been dropped away. He's in 10th place at the moment. Reed from Pedal is... But he's going to get caught by Daniel and Timo. So anything could happen here. Could Daniel or Timo get into the top 10? Not beyond the realms of possibility by any means, but and there's riders behind. I just saw the shadow. So Tim Moss. Now Tim, you see, he did get back to this group, and he has obviously got recovery, because look at him working here. Now, will he pay for his efforts earlier as this comes into the finishing few kilometers? Will he be able to hold with this group here? Let's zoom out and find out whether let's just zoom out. Come on. There we go. I just want to see whether there's anybody. No, there doesn't look to be anybody chasing these 4. So this will be interesting. And I really, because of what happened earlier with Tim and the way that he closed up that gap, I was so impressed with that I really hope he can stay with these riders and possibly even, gain a couple of places. Now, this rider's too far behind that small group in front to catch them, but he'll be trying to stay away from this small group behind, and they'll be trying to catch him. So they've got him in the sights, 160 meters and closing. So they can clearly see him on the road. We can see him just up the road there. These riders can see him. Robin's there at the back. Murtaugh looks strong. We know Sondergaard's a good rider. Parks is a strong rider. So these guys are going to be working together and trying to climb. They've closed it down to 100 meters now and closing. So I think they're going to catch him. In fact, we're going to stay with this because this is exciting. They're going to catch him. They're going to catch the Italian, yes, Deletna. Pretty good. Come on, Nils, get up with Neil. Rather get up with these riders. Don't get dropped off at this point. This is your last real climb. Well, no, not the last real climb, but second to last climb. As we see Robin there as well. So yeah, nice to see the four of them are staying together towards the top of the climb. And they will catch Del Etna as they go over the top. Four riders working together should be able to close that. It's down to 60 meters now. And don't forget, when we joined them, it was 160 meters. So already they've closed up 100 meters on him. But because Del Etna has hit the downslope first, obviously the gap is going out now. But these riders behind should be able to close it, especially if they work together, and they are doing. Good job, folks. Come on, Robin. Get on those wheels, lad. It's probably tired, but get on the wheels. Okay, I'm going to leave you because I want to go a little bit further back and see if we can go all the way to the back of the pack and then come all the way to the front before Hedidam hits the finish. So I'll quickly flick through, folks, so that you can see where people are on the road. It will just be a quick flick through because we need to get back to the front and see what's happening. I'll check in on the riders behind. Yeah. And you can see when I'm flicking through the riders how some of them are on the upslope, some of them on the downslope. So riders, just look at the white dots, are all over the course on a stage like this that's constantly up and down. And it's hard to keep track of riders sometimes. There's Cooper still at the side of the road. So my suspicion is that he's not going to get back in. Casper, is he at the side of the road or has he finished? It's saying 68. Has he finished? Let's go down. Yeah. So Casper, I apologise. I must have missed Casper. I didn't realise he was so close to the finish. So it does look, folks, like I apologise, Casper. It looks like Casper's finished in first place, but has he crossed the line? Yeah, he must have done. He must have done. He wouldn't be side of the road, surely. We'll know when Samut gets there. And I apologise if I've missed you crossing the line, Casper. Okay, here's... So we'll need to check on the times because I've obviously missed Casper. I haven't got his time. I'll need to have a look at RGTDB for that. As we see Samut taking a well-earned second place. And there's Casper just in front of him. So Casper did cross the line. And there's Gavash, not far behind John. We said he'd get third. The first, second and third. And then this is really the... let's zoom out a little bit so that we can see all of the riders. And who's your money on out of this group, folks? Who have we got in here? I don't know. I wouldn't want to choose one of these riders. We've got have we got two from the same team? Yes, we have. Oram and Brask, the two Danes. So are they going to work together? Or somebody else going to take the win? The SDW rider's the one in red and yellow. Obviously, we know the 3R rider, Newton. So who's going to get this? Let's have a look. Is Oram going to get it just before? No, I think it was actually caught by Johnson. It was very close. A photo finish between Johnson and Oram. Okay, who have we got behind? Nick Giles from Poker Motion. I'm so pleased to see Nick riding this stage, but I don't think he's contesting the Tour. He was at the early stage, but I think he told me that his trainer had to go back to the shop, so he had to drop out. But he gets a nice 9th place here. And this is going to be a competition now for 10th place. And who's your money on out of these 4 riders? I mean, has Tim Moss got anything left after he burnt that match earlier on? Because we know he's a sprinter. And there he goes. That's a good 10th place, Tim, and well earned, mate. We know Daniel's strong as well. That was a good 10th place. Very well done as we watch his teammate Fussell take a nice 14th place. And then we've got this Deletner obviously managed to stay with Sondergaard and Parks. So who's your money on here? I think Sondergaard will get this. Let's see. 400 meters. Downhill finish. Flattens out slightly, but it's a fast, very fast running. 200 meters to go. Here we go. Wind it up. And Deletner looks like he's got it, although Sondergaard, is he going to go past? No, Deletner gets it, Sondergaard second and Parks third. Okay, Murtau, 3R rider coming in, just behind them. And here's Robin. So Robin held on to his 19th place. Didn't get caught by the riders behind. So nice to see you back, Robin. Samut's asking any time bonus. I believe there are. I believe it's 30 for first, 20 for second, and 10 for third. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there are time bonuses available. So, yeah. I'll confirm that, probably not during this broadcast, but as we watch the 2 Dirty Dirty riders coming in together. Are they going to have a battle, or are they just going to cross that, giving me a wave? Are they just going to cross the line together? They must be listening to the feed, folks, because they're both giving me a wave. Here they come. I am getting good views on the YouTube channel. And if you are listening, and you are still listening, there's your mama coming in. If you are still listening, please give me a like. And if you're not a subscriber, why not? And please do so. Let's grow the channel. See if I can get to 200 subscribers by the end of January. I put in a lot of work, folks, so try and support me as we watch my 2 teammates coming in, Mike and Paul, under the Flamme Rouge. And are these 2 going to battle it out, or again, are they just going to be content to give me a wave and cross the line together? Here we go, we'll find out. If it came down to a sprint and they were really going for it, I'd have to fancy Mike. But you never know. As Mike gets on the wheel, so perhaps he knows he's got to get on his wheel and then swing past him. And here he goes. So you stay on the wheel till about 100 meters and then you kick. No, he's not got it. He's not got it. Paul's got this. Yeah, if you, unless you kick at the right spot, you're not going to come slingshotting past. Watch Garcia coming in as well. Nice ride, Garcia. And our next two riders is Gloy and Leon. And these two are possibly going to battle it out as well. Leon, the Team Lou rider, currently on Gloy's wheel. Gloy trying to leave him behind. Now, if I was going to go past, I wouldn't have gone past at that point like you saw Leon did. I'd just stay on this lad's wheel. If he's prepared to do the work on the front, let him do the work and then slingshot right past him as you get closer to the finish. But it's easier said than done. I'm calling out tactics I would use, but who knows whether I'd actually be able to use them. Very difficult to tell. And here we go. This is where you kick. And it does look like Leon's just taken it. Yep. So there we go. As we watch James Brown not far behind, coming in behind them. There's James. And I switched quickly because I could see these two were not that far behind. So Miller and Gabe. Obviously my money's on Gabe here because he's my OTR teammate. So let's see whether he can beat. Steve Miller is the guy that runs the SDW series. And I think I've covered one or two of their races. Very good races. So check out my YouTube channel if you want to see what it's all about. But are they going to have a battle, or what do you think? I think they will. I think they'll fight it out as we get closer to the line. More or less side by side. So who's going to kick first? Here we go. Miller's going to kick now. There he is. Perfect timing, actually. Yeah. There you go. So Miller took that one. Got the Bads just behind them. So you can see that already we've had a good few mini battles further down the field, and you always get that in these tours. It's one of the reasons why we hang around and cover the riders lower down the field coming in, because you can often see some pretty keen battles going on, because every rider wants to try and improve his position if they've got the chance to do so, and anything left in the legs at the end. And that's the key dynamic. Have you got anything left at the end? What's Costa coming in? Big here. Now he's got a rider 90 meters behind him, but I don't think he's going to get caught. I think he's got enough. Yeah, that's the rider behind him, so he's not going to get caught. He'll hold on to his 36th spot, and Horvat will have to settle for 37th. But it is nice to watch the riders lower down the order come in as well, to give them their moment of glory, because I appreciate every rider finishing the course. It was touch and go for me tonight, though. I didn't know whether my system was... we had the audio issues and I had to restart it and get started again. So it was a little bit tricky. I really hope that we've got a full recording on YouTube. We know it's going to Facebook, so let's see what's happening. We watched Sid coming in over the line, and then Horvat was not that far behind him. He was certainly trying to catch. So a good ride by Horvat as well. And this is our own Samir. He's the Magic Roads wizard, really. Him and Paul Nichols. Again, an OTR rider, Paul. They're the two that really put on all these tours and shows for you by doing the roads. Well, when I say put them on, as we watch Andy going past IK. Now, the F denotes that Andy is a senior master. I think F is like, it's either 55 to 60 or 60 to 65. Not quite sure which. So he's a senior vet. And look at the wobble that IK's got trying to stay on his wheel there. Who's your money on here? Team Lou Rider or the German? Yeah, thanks, Paul. We'll see you later. Said CIO in the comments. My money's on the Team Lou Rider. So we'll see what happens. Is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it, or is he? No, IK just took him on the line. Okay, I got the impression Andy wasn't that bothered, to be honest. I could be wrong. I mean, he did look like he was going into the red, so yeah. There does seem to be a bit of a lag. If you look at the rider list on the left-hand side of the screen, and you look at the riders going over the line, there does seem to be a bit of a lag between what's showing on the rider list and what's happening on the road. And I've seen this before, so there's a bit of a lag here, and I don't think it's my system. But here we go, over the line for Cock. Then we go to I mean, don't get me wrong, it's very smoothly transitioning from one rider to the next and pressing the keyboard, and it's almost instantaneous. So that side of it's working nicely for me. It's just the audio issues, and sometimes the YouTube feed doesn't link up. You know, I click the button start streaming and nothing happens. And it's so frustrating. And it's because I'm running on an M1 Mac and the apps aren't optimized yet for that architecture. They run, and in some instances they run fine, but sometimes they don't. And it's a nightmare to try and sort because I have to try and download third-party drivers to get some of the stuff working. Sometimes I'm left wishing I hadn't moved away from my PC system, which was really state-of-the-art top end. And I don't know why I did. I just wanted to, because all my other things, like my laptop and everything, are Apple. I thought, well, why not go the whole hog and have a full Apple ecosystem? But I should never have got rid of my PC. But you live and learn. Certainly can't afford another one, so I'm stuck with what I've got. We watch Slade coming in. I mean, it is a nice setup. I will sometime I'll post some pictures. It is a nice setup I've got with the widescreen monitor and a second monitor off to the side, so that I can check messages and everything coming in. And when I'm doing the ZMS feed, it's really nice because I can have multiple windows open as well as Damon's multiple windows. It's a really nice setup, and that's why I think we're so professional on the ZMS streams, because we can really take advantage of the real estate that we've got. Barnaby coming into the finish, and we're going to be hanging around a little bit, folks, waiting for the riders lower down the order to come in. I generally stick around until the last rider comes in. I don't know if I can do that tonight, but I will certainly try. We'll see how far behind the last riders are. as we watch Deadpool go under the Flamme Rouge. I like to hang around until the end and see the last rider coming home, but sometimes when I'm running multiple streams like this, like I was online on at lunchtime, and obviously doing this evening, I do have to try and spend a little bit of time with my family and Hilke. So sometimes I will cut the video short and not be able to cover the riders right at the end. And I do hope they forgive me. If it was just a single stream I was doing, you know, like on the Saturday and Sunday, I was only doing the one stream, then I would almost certainly say. But when it's multiple streams, sometimes I have to try and give a little bit of time back to my family. And this is one of the reasons, folks, why I ask you to, you know, go to my YouTube channel and give me a like on the videos and subscribe, because, you know, I put in an awful lot of work for RGT. I really do. And it can sometimes be hard work, especially when you do have technical issues and you have to spend a couple of hours after the broadcast has finished trying to find out what went wrong and trying to fix it for the next time online. And yeah, it can be very hard work, very enjoyable, I must say. I really enjoy this as we watch Strasse coming home, followed by Millie Chip. So we've got 50th rider here. Now, I think we've, what we had, did we have 70 riders? 69, 70 riders. So we've still got a fair few coming in. I'll try and, yeah, we've got a bit of a gap after Millie Chip. With the rider behind is a kilometre. So we'll try and have a look and see how far behind the last riders are and see whether we can stay with this, or whether I'm going to have to shoot off and cut it short somewhere. I mean, I can work out from this afternoon's running how long it's going to take the riders to come in home, give or take a few minutes. So I will do that. So there's Millie Chap. Now, 1.3 kilometres. So let's just work his way down the field and see who we've got remaining to come in. Berman, 2.7 for Gilbert Elliott. Thunderberg's 4.4. Robol, 6 kilometres. You see, 10 kilometres. I'm really looking at another 30 minutes plus here. If I have to wait for Jeff coming in. So I am going to cut the broadcast short, folks, and I apologise for that. But like I say, I can't hang around. I can't justify hanging around for all the riders when I'm doing multiple streams a day. If it was just the single stream, I would do so. So please forgive me, but you'll definitely see me on Tuesday. Tomorrow's a rest day, and I hope you all take it. So these are the next riders on the road. We've got two together coming in, and we'll watch these two battle it out for their placings, and I'm sure they will battle it out. We've got a Polish rider and a Dutch rider. Who's your money on? The Dutch rider just managed to hold it. Then we got Plant not far behind, 200 metres coming in, and behind him we've got Balfour still on the climb. So a fair bit of distance before we see Balfour coming in. There's Plant. So what we got, 1.6 kilometres. And I'm going to wrap it there just to show that because we've got some OTR riders on the road, to show that there's no bias from me, I'm actually going to wrap up the broadcast here, folks, as we watch Balfour. Sorry, I'm not going to stay with him. We're going to end the broadcast here. I'm going to get back to my family, have a cup of tea, a well-earned cup of tea, and a biscuit. Finish off my bit of tea as well, my meal, and we'll see you on Tuesday. So let's see, can we transition across from this view? Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now. Stay safe.